we want to talk about today $50,000 profit on a deal that was generated from a cold calling lead. We're excited to share this with you. And once again, we are the Wholesale Daily Show. I'm Dustin.
I'm Josh.
I am Corey.
And we're going to walk you through a deal that just came in through the power of cold calling, which is one of our favorite ways to get deals. And we have deals coming in all the time that we're evaluating from cold calling and from obviously different methods of marketing. So we're here to break that down with you, share a little bit of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and you can take some of these tips and implement them in your own business. So this particular deal that has come in, obviously we found them by calling motivated sellers, asking them if they're interested in selling their property. And this property here, I'm going to let Josh share the details on it.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. Cool, man. Take it away.
Yeah, you know, when you talk to people on the phone, a lot of times you're going to have people that are going to undervalue or overvalue their property. And so the cold calling crew called this couple up, and they had overvalued the property. They wanted $140,000 for it. And when we're looking at comps really quickly, we were seeing that a lot of property was selling in the 200 to 250K range, yeah, even a little bit higher. And so at face value, this didn't look like the best deal. They wanted 140, but when we pulled up the comps on Zillow, it was showing not much more than that. So talked to our realtor, Chris, was asking him what's really going on in the neighborhood here, because there was a lot of strong comps. And so he was saying, you know, we could put some money into this house and we could sell it for 250K. So approaching this one from a wholesale perspective didn't make any sense to us, but we had some hard money that we've got to secure against a house, so this made sense. So the way we walked through this is we took the ARV. So what we could do is we could put a lot of money into this house and it would be worth $250,000. So that's kind of where we start with the calculations. Is we'll take the ARV, and
How do you come up with the ARV?
So for this ARV, this was a combination of looking at what's currently on the market and what has been selling. So if you can use stuff that is the most recent, if you can use stuff within the past month, that's going to be awesome, because the market 6 months ago isn't going to be the market now. But we're looking at similar houses, similar year, similar bed, bath, square footage, and what is that selling for right now, and what would it take to make this house look like that house. So in this particular neighborhood, you've got a ton of houses that are selling for 250K that are remodeled nicely, kind of higher end remodels. And so we knew that then we would need to make our house look like these houses, and it's doable, it's possible. So that's kind of how we came up with that number. Yeah, it's like what's selling on the market, and is our house similar to those houses? And yes, it is. So we take the 250 and we're going to multiply it by 0.88, and so that's going to take off 12%. And what that 12% is going to go towards are closing costs, realtor commissions, taxes, and then just it's a little bit of a miniature buffer thrown in there too, because really closing costs for realtors is going to be 6%, and then title insurance, maybe 2%, and then taxes. But just using 12% is going to be a little bit of a buffer. Do we have a calculator too? Anyone got a calculator on them?
On your phone? Sure.
Dope.
Think phone.
Phone. So we got 250K times 0.88. So that leaves us at 220. So 220 is our number. But we know that to get it to be worth 250K, we're going to have to do a lot of rehab. So we set up a first home visit, had the guy on the ground take a whole bunch of photos, look at the current condition of the house, and determine how much is it going to cost to do this rehab. So we came up with $50,000, and that was between the guy on the ground and the realtor as well. So then we got to subtract 50K, which brings us to 170,000. And so then we got to take off 30%. So we want to make 30% on the money, which is $50K in this instance, or you could times it by 0.7. So we could take 170 times 0.7. 0.7 ends up being 30% is $50,000. So we want to make $50,000 in profit on our money, and that will leave us at 119K price point, and we settled at 120. We settled at 120. So the thing is, though, is we started at 140K. So they were overvaluing the price the price of the house and undervaluing how much it would cost to do the rehab. So we got in there, we kind of explained things to them, and we were able to get them down from 140 down to 120. But we pitched a lower price. I think we pitched maybe 110 or something. So we were able to land off in 120. So then from this cold call deal, this is gonna be closing in I think like 6 days or something. And yeah, looking at $50,000 in profit. So 30%, super strong deal. And that's on top of that too, the project manager thinks it's actually only going to be about $40,000 to do the rehab. So there's like a 10K buffer. He says you should always have at least a 10% buffer. So if the rehab is going to be 40K, then leaving a 10% buffer is going to be $4,000. So 44, but because of our track record with rehabs in this city, we're putting an extra 10K on top of the 40K. So that's like a 25% buffer. So looking at this deal, it's like we've got an extra 10K slotted for this rehab. We've taken 12% off of the ARV, so it's looking like 50K should be the minimum profit, hopefully more. So that's the plan. That's the plan with this cold calling deal, and turn it around in 2 to 3 months, about a month and a half for the rehab, and then it'll be on the market, and so maybe a month to close. So yeah, we're looking at a 3-month turnaround time.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's exciting, and we try to play both sides of the coin on this. So we're obviously out to wholesale, but then every now and then a deal like this comes in, and we're also playing with investment capital. So we know that X amount of our deals need to be done with the capital that we're playing with, and then we also like the wholesaling side of it because it's quick, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can do a wholesale deal sometimes in a week because you have a cash buyer, which is super exciting. Corey, what's your insight of the day so far for the folks in podcast land?
Insight of the day. Oh goodness. I should really think of these before we do this, though. We don't have to.
I'd kind of put them on the spot.
Yeah. I don't even remember what I did this morning. I have no answer at this point in time. Please check back later for more information.
Corey's doing a brain freeze.
Give me a sec.
Brain freeze? It's because it's snowing outside.
To give him the benefit of the doubt, he is doing an extremely long fast.
Yeah. Was it day 10?
12.
Day 12.
Or he's on a 12-day fast.
She's firing, but she's not firing at 100%.
It's pretty ridiculous. I'll bring it home with an idea. And we're always going to talk about this concept because we kind of live by it. You have to. And that is just the flows of up and down in a business. Like you can go one day feeling like you are just kicking ass. Like this day is great. And then roll into the next day and just question everything. And that's a huge part of just running a business and trying to get it consistent. And that's the highs and lows of just being an entrepreneur. You're going to get some deals. It's going to be awesome. And then the next day you might not have any deals come in, or that momentum or the property you had under contract falls out of contract. And literally just always keep in mind that you're building this thing brick by brick, and nobody can take that away from you as long as you're continuing to build this thing for yourself. And on those days that you don't feel like you've moved ahead, at least you've placed a brick in place. And when you look back on it a couple months later or 6 months later, you're going to have progress, and then others will see you as kind of an overnight success in many ways and think that, oh, it just comes easier for this guy. It's easy for you guys, and nobody sees the work that went in. can't remember who it was, but the joke was like, yeah, it took me 10 years of 12-hour days to become an overnight success. And that really just rings so true no matter what business or what you're doing. So that, stick with it and you can make it work, because that's what we're going to do. That's what we're doing, and sharing the journey with you. So for those of you guys listening on the podcast, thank you. For the Facebookers, the YouTube guys, we at Modern REI, we produce cold call generated leads for real estate investors. And this way you don't have to go through the pain of building your own sales floor. We can do that for you. So if you're listening to the podcast, head over to modernrei.com for more details. If you're watching on any other platform, just type the word lead into the comments. We'll get you more information. Do us a favor, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell us what you're working on. And we'd love to hear from you. So signing off, Wholesale Daily Show. We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.